Caitlin Clark, it's quite obvious that, look, these WNBA players aren't the biggest fans of her. I actually think that very little of it is caused by Caitlin Clark. Maybe you could say the only excuse you could really give is that she doesn't seem to actively seek out these vets. But like, I'm not gonna lie. Considering some of the stuff that's been said about her by these vets, it's a vicious circle. She probably isn't gonna go out of her way to interact with these vets after some of the stuff the vets have said about her, and then the vets aren't gonna interact with her because she's not interacting with them. Like, it's a vicious circle right now. But her interview with Diana Taurasi just shows again, Caitlin Clark is, regardless of what's being said, always seems to, well, again, have the perfect PR answer. I would kind of like, look, she's saying all the right things. I would love for her to just talk trash once. in an interview. But at the end of the day, that's never what she's gonna do. Before we get on to, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 14.3k by the end of the day. Obviously, we're not going to hit 15k by the end of the month, but like, if we could do it on the 1st or 2nd of July, that would be absolutely incredible. But anyway, now let's get on to the video. So this is what Caitlin Clark had said about when she was asked about facing off against Diana Taurasi for the first time.
Caitlin, with tomorrow being the first matchup in your career against Diana Taurasi, does that bring any sort of extra excitement for you?
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's somebody I grew up, idolizing and, looking up to and wanting to be like one day. So, obviously she's one of the greatest players our game has ever seen, greatest scorer our game has ever seen. So for me, like, I'm excited. Like, that's fun. Like, it's almost like kind of like a dream come true in a way. Like, you get to live out your dream while playing against the best, one of the best there ever has been. So it's fun for me for sure.
And again, near perfect answer, because Diana Taurasi is one of the greatest of all time. I don't think anyone, especially not Caitlin Clark, would say any different. And look, she's given all the perfect answers. And a lot of people are going to be saying like, oh, she doesn't mean anything she says. It's like, well, one, she's as competitive with anyone. She's unbelievably competitive with anyone. But if you've ever listened to anyone with Caitlin Clark, she was obsessed with women's sports. Like, she was watching the WNBA. Her hero is Maya Moore. She was obviously a big fan of Taurasi. She would have been a big fan of all of these. She would have been a big fan of a lot of the vets that have been talking crap about her for years. So it is a case where she very clearly is still going to praise these players. She's probably upset with the whole situation. But again, it doesn't, at the end of the day, regardless of what the hell is happening off the floor, on the floor, it's kill or be killed. And I think both Diana Taurasi, regardless of the relationship they're going to have, and Caitlin Clark are probably going to want to kill each other on the court. As far as like mentality wise goes, there are a lot of similarities between Caitlin Clark and Diana Taurasi, minus the cheap shotting from Taurasi. But you can see from this interview, especially when Taurasi, like when she was asked about Caitlin Clark, she just goes, it'll be fun. And she literally just goes, it's going to be fun. And looks towards no reporter. She literally just goes, it'll be fun. And turns her head. So trying to basically be like, don't ask me this question. And you can tell, obviously, she's frustrated, even though I'm not going to lie. This whole, like, hype was brought on by Taurasi. Like, for anyone being like, oh, like, they're just making artificial hype. No. This was all brought on from the... And regardless of, if you actually listen to, not even the full quote, just everything Taurasi has said afterwards, I don't actually think a lot of the stuff Diana Taurasi said was wrong. I don't agree that Paige is better than Caitlin Clark, but not that crazy a take. It was the reality is coming take. And that was what got blown so far out of proportion. At the end of the day, it's a quote, it's a soundbite, and people are going to use that to push it. In reality, this is really the rookie versus the vet. And I really hope that it ends up being a really good game. Both of them have a good game. It's kind of a passing of the torch moment, and that a brawl doesn't break out. Or that Taurasi doesn't hit Caitlin Clark with 4 or 5 basketball plays. But yeah, that could obviously happen, as I said in the video earlier. But it just does show that, as far as these interviews are concerned, Caitlin Clark is a fan of the WNBA. Regardless of the crap that's happened, like, she is a fan of these players. She's a fan of this league. And all the people that are going to be saying, like, oh, she needs to leave, she needs to go to Europe, X, Y, and Z, like, she's never going to, because her dream was to play in the WNBA. Her dream is to play in the WNBA. If you've ever listened to anything with Caitlin Clark, even from when she was a kid, it is play in the WNBA. It is inspire a whole new generation of basketball players, both girls and boys, to play basketball. And that's pretty much it. Like, that is her goal. And obviously to win. But they were her goals. And ironic, like, surprisingly enough, she's hit those goals. Like, her heroes were Maya Moore, who obviously has had one of the greatest. She's had probably the winningest basketball career of all time. Like, for what she did, there's probably no professional basketball player in any of the North American leagues that have won the percentage of games Maya Moore did, even from high school to the end of her WNBA career. It was absolutely nuts. And look, that's very clearly, you can hear from Lisa Bluter, like, that was kind of the impact that Caitlin Clark herself wanted to have. And you can even see with the interview today, like, she was praising Diana Taurasi, whereas Taurasi is actively, like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think it's necessarily, as I said with a lot of these WNBA players, I don't think necessarily Taurasi dislikes Caitlin. I think she dislikes the circus around it and is taking out the anger on Caitlin Clark specifically. Like, I can't remember, she was asked a completely irrelevant question, and she'll just randomly answer with, instead of the Marshawn Lynch's "I'm just here so I don't get fined," when she wants to give a "I'm just here so I don't get fined" answer, she just goes, "We're so happy about the charter flights," which is obviously a knock on Caitlin Clark, because people are always talking about, oh, you should be happy about your charter flights. This is all from Caitlin Clark. So it is going to be a really interesting game. And look, you've got people that are going to tune in. This is going to be the biggest game, including the Angel Reese game. Maybe Angel Reese Part 3 will be the biggest game, because, again, if the Fever win, coming into the fourth quarter of Fever versus Sky Part 3, the Rookie of the Year race was over. And I think I think both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are going to have really good ends to the year. I think Rookie of the Year might come down to that fourth game. If the Fever go 3-1 and Caitlin Clark outplays Angel Reese for a third time in 4 games and they match up against each other, I could see Caitlin Clark winning, more than likely winning. I think if it's a repeat of the last game and the Sky make it 2-2 and Angel Reese has another historically great game for a rookie, yeah, I think Angel Reese is probably going to win. I think that's realistically what Rookie of the Year is going to come down to. But regardless of the Rookie of the Year rivalry, this is the one that people want to see, because as far as their positions, whereas I think Caitlin Clark's more of a true point guard, Taurasi was more of a wing, their positions are similar enough because of how well Taurasi shot the ball, because of the hype Taurasi had coming into the league, and the fact that she might be the greatest player of all time. So this rivalry is one that it's not fabricated by trash talk. Obviously, the reality is coming tweet didn't help it, but even if that didn't happen, this is the player that people think could be the future GOAT. I think A'ja Wilson is a lot more likely to be the future GOAT than Caitlin Clark. I'm just going to be completely honest on that. A'ja Wilson's exceptional, and in this type of league, it's a lot easier to be a big than a guard. But what I do think is that it is a passing the torch, because Caitlin Clark could be the second greatest guard of all time after Super Ed. She potentially could overtake Super Ed. Like, that is the ceiling of Caitlin Clark, is one of the 2 greatest point guards of all time. And I don't think if you say that that's definitely not possible, you are not watching this rookie season. Obviously, she mightn't hit the ceiling, but that is the ceiling. And obviously, Taurasi more of a wing, but she's the GOAT. So if there's anyone currently in the WNBA that's going to overtake her GOAT status, it's A'ja Wilson. If there's ever someone that's going to overtake her GOAT status as just a pure guard, whether that be 2 guard or point guard, it's going to be Caitlin Clark. In the WNBA right now, it'll be Caitlin Clark, if any of them are going to do it. The really good young guards like Sabrina are like 27. They're not going to do it. But Caitlin Clark at 22, maybe, just maybe. Either way, though, this is going to be a really fun game to watch. It's going to be really fun to see these two go at it. But anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.